Whether you're looking for a gift for your kid or a fan of the series Transformers, you may find the new Tecno Spark 30 Bumblebee Edition interesting. Don't be deceived by the looks, thinking this is an expensive phone. It's actually the opposite. This is a budget phone that only costs 6,999 pesos or around 120 US dollars when roughly converted. Aside from the striking design and an interesting unboxing experience, the specs and features you get across the board for a budget phone today are more than serviceable. The Spark 30 features a large and fast 6.78 inches panel, a large 64 megapixel Sony main camera, Dolby Atmos speakers that go up to 300% volume level, and 8GB RAM and 256GB storage with space for expansion via shared microSD slot. At the core is the Helio G91 from MediaTek. While it's not the fastest you can get at this price point, I would say it's decent for regular tasks, but more on that later. For now, let's talk about the design. So the back definitely looks busy, but not to the point where I thought they would make it angular with the design cues. Instead, it has vertical lines underneath the plastic panel and in different finishes as well. You can even see carbon-like patterns on the black parts of the design, and of course the Transformers logo together with the moniker of the device. The camera module does protrude quite significantly and rocks the phone on a flat surface. However, the only glass components here are these 4 circles, which may seem like the Spark 30 sporting 4 cameras, but in reality there's only one camera, which is the 64 megapixel Sony IMX682. The other 2 act as infrared and light sensors, while the 4th one is your 4 LED flashlight. The rest is made of plastic, including the matte finish frame, but at 7.7mm, the Spark 30 is relatively thin for its kind. Lastly, it comes with IP64 dust and water resistance. You still get a free clear plastic case on the box with a bit of customization, so it's not totally a basic jelly case. By the way, the cover of the box is a printed cardboard of Transformers, and the actual box itself comes with the emblem. The content of the box is pretty standard, as you get the same manual and warranty documents, an 18-watt charger with USB-C cable, a protective case, and the phone itself. No free wired earphones. The phone does come with a factory-installed plastic screen protector, which is always a good thing. The Spark 30 still rocks a capacitive fingerprint scanner embedded in the power button, which is still fast and accurate. The headphone jack is still here, albeit in a weird off-center way, but for the speakers, they do get really loud at max volume thanks to Dolby Atmos. Yes, there's a hint of bass in the speakers, but the overall quality is more on the teeny side. Additionally, you have to be around 70% and above to properly hear what you're watching. As for the software, this is running iOS 14.5, which is based on Android 14. Apparently, Tecno will only support up to Android 15 for this device, so that's a tad shorter than the typical 3 to 5 years of more expensive ones. Nevertheless, you do get a bit of Transformers customization in the form of icons, wallpapers, always on display, and ringtones. However, I'm not sure about this notification being on brand. That's it for the custom software. If you're a gamer, maybe you like this, but I will stick to the simpler UI. The performance though is nothing to write home about. Even with 8GB of RAM, the G19 struggles to maintain a smooth 90Hz experience when switching between apps. However, I will say this, once you have an app open, for example Facebook or YouTube, the scrolling experience is actually fast and almost lag-free. It's when opening and switching apps that the chipset struggles significantly. On top of that, the stock camera app also takes its time when switching between modes, especially when taking photos. You have to be patient with the processing performance, but once the phone finishes, the quality you get is actually decent. That 64 megapixel sensor comes out with a decent dynamic range, which is the most surprising thing about it. Just the way it preserves the highlights and shadows, considering this is a budget phone. Just don't expect fast subjects to be captured sharply. As I've mentioned, the camera is a bit slow. Video recording for both 64 megapixel and 13 megapixel selfie cameras goes up to 1440p at 30 frames, and interestingly, there's no 60 frames option even at lower resolutions. Tecno also felt it didn't need stabilization in videos for some reason. As a result, the video quality here is usable at best. As you may have noticed, this doesn't have a secondary ultra-wide camera. It's a bit of a bummer, but if you try to think about it, ultra-wide cameras don't look particularly good on budget phones. Since main cameras already have wide point of view, maybe we don't need a mediocre ultra-wide anymore. That's a thought I leave for the comment section. The 5000 mAh battery can last up to 2 days on conservative use, but in a single day I usually get at least 6 hours, sometimes 7 when watching a lot of videos. However, the charging speed is only up to 18 watts, so a full charge is going to be at least 2 hours. The display is one of the best things about the Spark 30. Sure, it's an IPS LCD instead of an OLED, but the 800 nits peak brightness is enough to make this phone visible outdoors. While it's missing HDR playback support, it does support up to 1440p videos on YouTube and 1080p on Netflix. The colors also look good for an LCD, and while always on display is usually reserved for OLED, you do have temporary AOD in the settings. I guess if you're looking for a nice tech gift this holiday season, the Tecno Spark 30 is a cool option. It definitely has an interesting unboxing experience, and although the performance is somewhat okay, I doubt it's noticeable by young ones. Or maybe you just like to collect Transformers stuff. This is a nice addition. But that's it for this one. Drop a sub or like if you feel like supporting the channel. And as always, until the next one, stay safe.